Welcome back. For those who've been following along, we are on step 2, part 2. He's taken his time going through this process because you have to do it in this particular steps, because if you miss anything, it will be considered breaking the law. And they're just waiting for, that's all they want is one mess up. So Lee is now going to do step 2, part 2. Welcome, Lee.
Okay. In this part, we're going to cover a security agreement, which is a common law copyright notice, and it is a public document. It's private, but we put it into the public through a notary so that if we need it, so we can present it to whoever is infringing upon our secured party. And the secured party is the actual corporate fiction which was created by the birth certificate. And then the other document we're going to cover is the private agreement between the parties, which would be me, the real flesh and blood man with real legs, and the secured party, which is the commercial vehicle within which they use in all of commerce. And so I'll start with a security agreement. And so here we go. Okay, this is a security agreement, a common law copyright notice. It's numbered. Once again, I use my initials in all caps, RLT, then my 18th birthday, 240689-CN for copyright notice, and that's the correct numbering for this document. And so here it goes. Copyright notice. All rights reserved, copyright of trade name, trademark, Robert Lee Thomas Jr., that's in all caps. Everything will be in all caps. When I say my name, it's going to be in all caps on this particular document. So, okay.
Okay.
As well as any and all derivatives and variations in the spelling of said trade name, trademark, common law copyright, copyrighted 1989, that's my 18th birthday, by Robert Lee Thomas Jr., all caps with a copyright symbol. Said common law trade name, trademark, Robert Lee Thomas Jr., may neither be used nor reproduced, neither in whole nor in part, nor in any manner whatsoever, without the prior, express, written consent and acknowledgement of Robert Lee Thomas Jr.'s copyright, as signified by the red ink signature of Robert Lee Thomas Jr. copyright. Hereinafter, secured party, with the intent of being contractually bound, any juristic person, as well as the agent of said juristic person, consents, and agrees by this copyright notice that neither said juristic person nor the agent of said juristic person shall display nor otherwise use in any manner the common law trade name, trademark, Robert Lee Thomas Jr., nor the common law copyright described herein, nor any derivative of, nor any variation in the spelling of Robert Lee Thomas Jr., without the prior, express, written consent and acknowledgement of secured party, as signified by secured party's signature in red ink. Secured party neither grants nor implies, nor otherwise gives consent for any unauthorized use of Robert Lee Thomas Jr., and all such authorized use is strictly prohibited. Secured party is not now, nor has ever been, an accommodation party, nor a surety for the purported debtor, i.e., Robert Lee Thomas Jr., and that's in all caps as well.
Okay.
Nor for any derivative of, nor for any variation in spelling of said name, nor for any other juristic person, as is so indemnified and held harmless by debtor, i.e., Robert Lee Thomas Jr., in hold harmless and indemnity agreement, RLT 240689 HHIA, dated the 24th day of the 6th month in the year of our Lord 1989, against any and all claims, legal actions, orders, warrants, judgments, demands, liabilities, losses, depositions, summonses, lawsuits, costs, fines, liens, levies, penalties, damages, interests, and expenses whatsoever, both absolute and contingent, as are due and as might become due, now existing and as might hereafter arise, and as might be suffered by, imposed upon, and incurred by debtor for any and every reason, purpose, and or cause whatsoever. Take note also that common law copyright is claimed by secured party over, including, but not restricted or limited to, all means of personal identification of debtor defined as all fingerprints, footprints, palm prints, thumbprints, handprints, toe prints, RNA materials, DNA materials, blood and blood fractions. Let me spell this word, BIOPSIES. Surgically removed tissue, body parts, organs, hair, teeth, nails, eggs, urine, feces, excrement, or other bodily fluids and matter of any kind, and breath samples, voice print, retinal image, and the description thereof, and all other corporal identification factors, and said factors' physical counterparts, and any and all blood tissues of any kind in any form, and all records and record numbers, including the results, recorded or otherwise, of all and any tests performed on any material relating to debtor, and information pertaining thereto, and any visual image, photographic or electronic, notwithstanding any and all claims to the contrary. In addition, creditor retains absolute control and mastery over the property of his body, mind, and mental faculties to the extent that no medication, food, or otherwise may be administered to him without his fully informed formal consent and written form signed in red ink. Self-executing contract security agreement in the event of unauthorized use. By this copyright notice, both the juristic person and the agent of said juristic person, hereinafter, jointly and severally, user, consent and agree that any use of Robert Lee Thomas, Jr., other than authorized use as set forth above, constitutes unauthorized use. Counterfeiting of secured parties' common law copyrighted property contractually binds user and renders this copyright notice a security agreement wherein user is debtor and Robert Lee Thomas, Jr. is secured party, and signifies that user, first, grants secured party a security interest in all user's assets, land, and personal property, and all of user's interest in assets, land, and personal property in the sum certain amount of 1 million American dollars per each occurrence of use of the common law copyrighted trade name, trademark, Robert Lee Thomas, Jr., as well as for each and every occurrence of use of any and all derivatives and variations in the spelling of Robert Lee Thomas, Jr., plus costs, plus triple damages. Second, often, let me just spell it.
Okay.
AUTHENTICATES. It's eluding me, the pronunciation of it. Okay, it authenticates. There we go.
Okay.
Second, it authenticates this security agreement wherein user is debtor and Robert Lee Thomas, Jr. is secured party, and wherein user pledges all of user's assets, land, consumer goods, farm products, inventory, equipment, money, investment property, commercial tort claims, letter of credit rights, chattel property, instruments, deposit accounts, documents, and general intangibles, and all users' interest in such foregoing property, now owned and hereinafter acquired, now existing and hereafter arising, and wherever located, as collateral for securing users' contractual obligation in favor of secured party for users' unauthorized use of secured parties' common law copyrighted property. Third, consists, consents, consents and agrees with secured parties filing of a UCC financing statement in the UCC filing office, as well as any county recorder's office, wherein user is debtor and Robert Lee Thomas Jr. is secured party. Fourth, consents and agrees that said UCC financing statement described above in paragraph 3 is a continuing financing statement and further consents and agrees with secured parties filing of any continuation statement necessary for maintaining secured parties' perfected security interest in all of users' property and interest in property pledged as collateral in this security agreement and described above in paragraph 2 until user's contractual obligation incurred has been fully satisfied. Fifth, consents and agrees with secured parties filing of any UCC financing statement as described above in paragraph 3 and 4, as well as the filing and security agreement as described above in paragraph 2 in the UCC filing office, as well as any county recorder's office. Sixth, consents and agrees that any and all such filings described in paragraphs 4 and 5 above are not and may not be considered bogus, and that user will not claim that any such filing is bogus. Seventh, waives all defenses. And eighth, appoints a secured party as authorized representative for user, effective upon user's default, reuser's contractual obligations in favor of secured party as set forth below under payment terms and default terms, granting secured party full authorization and power for engaging in any and all actions on behalf of user, including but not limited to authentication of a record on behalf of user as secured party in secured party's sole discretion deemed appropriate, and user further consents and agrees that this appointment of secured party as authorized representative for user, effective upon user's default, is irrevocable and coupled with a security interest. User further consents and agrees with all of the following terms of self-executing contract security agreement in event of unauthorized use. Payment terms. In accordance with the fees for unauthorized use of Robert Lee Thomas Jr. as set forth above, user hereby consents and agrees that user shall pay secured party all unauthorized use fees in full within 10 days of date invoice is sent secured party's invoice, hereinafter invoice, itemizing said fees. Default terms. In event of non-payment in full of unauthorized use fees by user within 10 days of the date invoice is sent, user shall be deemed in default and A, all of user's property and property pledged as collateral by user as set forth above in paragraph 2 immediately becomes, i.e., is property of secured party. B, secured party is appointed user's authorized representative as set forth above in 8. And C, user consents and agrees that secured party may take possession of, as well as otherwise dispose of in any manner that secured party is secured party's sole discretion deems appropriate, including but not limited by sell at auction at any time following user's default and without further notice, and any and all of user's property and interest described above in paragraph 2, formerly pledged as collateral by user, now property of secured party, in respect of this self-executing contract security agreement, in the event of unauthorized use, that secured party, again in secured party's sole discretion, deems appropriate. Terms for curing default. Upon event of default as set forth above under default terms, irrespective of any and all of users' former property and interest in property described above in paragraph 2 in the possession of, as well as disposed of by a secured party, as authorized above under default terms. User may cure user's default only the remainder of user's said former property and interest property, formerly pledged as collateral that is neither in the possession of nor otherwise disposed of by secured party within 20 days of date of user's default only by payment in full. Terms of strict foreclosure. User's non-payment in full of unauthorized use fees itemized in invoice within said 20-day period for curing default as set forth under terms for curing default authorizes secured parties immediate non-judicial strict foreclosure on any and all remaining former property and interest in property formerly pledged as collateral by user. Now, property of secured party which is not in the possession of nor otherwise disposed of by secured party upon expiration of said 20-day default curing period. Ownership subject to common law copyright and UCC financing statement and security agreement filed with the UCC filing office. Record owner, Robert Lee Thomas Jr., copyright. Autograph common law copyright, 1989. Unauthorized use of Robert Lee Thomas Jr. incurs same unauthorized use fees as those associated with Robert Lee Thomas Jr. as set forth above in paragraph 1 under self-executing contract security agreement in event of unauthorized use. This copyright notice includes any and all business names owned by Robert Lee Thomas Jr. copyright. This copyright notice includes any and all business names owned by Robert Lee Thomas Jr. copyright. This copyright notice also includes Patricia Ann Stewart, which you can do that, and you would put your children on there and everything else that's less than 18. Okay, and your wife or husband, and then by, and then you've got a line there to put your signature and your thumbprint on. Okay, and then underneath of it, it's an all capital letter name again. Robert Lee Thomas Jr. copyright, secured party signature, authorized representative, all rights reserved, UCC 1308 without prejudice. And so that covers that document. And what this copyright's doing is it's securing everything. It's securing your blood, it's securing your thumbprint, your fingerprint, and it's securing what the Vatican actually took from your mother when you were born. And so, they're incurring fees on that. But once you give this notice, then notice to principals, notice to agents. So you've given the notice of it. So what you would do is if they've infringed upon your copyright, then you give them an invoice where you're charging them. And when they don't pay it, you go through a notary and you collect the money.
So have you actually seen a situation like that?
Well, I've told them use of my Capitestimento Maxima incurs a charge because it's secured to me. And if you keep using it, then you incur those charges. And so every time the power company or the water company or the garbage company or the phone company or the cable company sends me a bill in that all caps name, which they don't do it in a lowercase name, they're infringing upon my copyright. So what I do, I keep those bills. As evidence. And that's something else that I personally do is I don't ever send back their original bill, like the stub they want you to tear off and then send your payment in. I make a copy of that bill and I'll clip off the bottom and I'll put my money order with that. And I use a money order because a money order is a go-back currency. It's through the post office. And so when you do this and you've got the receipt of the money order from the post office where you paid for it, and then you have the receipt of the actual money order itself through the carbon copy or the slip at the top. And what you do, you keep all these in your evidence file. This becomes evidence of copyright infringement. And so as you're building this, so you're building a file. And there's going to come a day when, we'll collectively be able to bring all of this evidence forward to liquidate these corporations. And that has to do with the lifeboat, see? And so, but that's your common law copyright notice, and that protects everything, even your breath. It's protecting. So when they claim that you're drinking and driving, and they take a breath sample from you, and they put it into evidence with what the alcohol content is, they've infringed your copyright. So you just let them truck along and do all these things, and really you're laying in wait. It's a trap for them, and they're you know they're impervious to it. They don't even comprehend these things.
Right.
And so, but it's evidence in court. And actually, you really don't have to go to court because it's a fact that they've done it. It's a fact that you have the evidence, and so you could navigate that through the post office and liquidate it and get a liquidation on that end, and then you would put through the court when you go to sue them. You just put that through the court as fact. Okay. But
So
the main thing is just making your record. See.
Okay. Now I have a question. How many pages is that what you just read?
Mine's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4 pages with the place for notary at the bottom.
And we're gonna make a copy of that or something similar to that and post at the end of the series or the second part.
Yeah, what I'll do, I'll just take all of my documents and I'll make electronic files out of them. And what we'll do, we'll put them in a folder and zip that folder so that it's smaller, it's compressed, and then we'll place a link or a few links, like on MediaFire or something like that, and we'll put the link to them, and then people can go and download that folder and unzip it on their computer, and they'll have all of these documents so that they can see them. Then you just type yours up, and where you see my name, you'll put your name. Where you see my number, you'll calculate your number and put your number.
Okay.
And so that way, you can have it 100% correct.
Sounds
okay,
good.
So with that one, we'll do the. I'll read through this private agreement. Now, the private agreement is between me, the flesh and blood me, and the real person of me, which would be the commercial vehicle, which is the person. Okay, that's under the law. That's what a person is, and so that's what they've created. That we shouldn't even know about it. We wouldn't know about it if it weren't for the internet and some of the information that's out there. So that's what we're actually. This whole process is securing that name back to us, and it gives us the higher claim. And so this is a private agreement between me and my straw man. Okay. And so let's do the private agreement. So this one's labeled private agreement. It also has a number which you calculate with your 18th birthday. So read private agreement RLT-240689-PA. Non-negotiable, private between the parties. Parties, all capital letter, Robert Lee Thomas Jr. Creditor. Now see how secured, it's a secured party. Creditor. Okay, and so that's my creditor. All right, so here we go. This private agreement is mutually agreed upon and entered into this 24th day of the 6th month of the year of our Lord, 1989, between the juristic person, full, all capital letter, Robert Lee Thomas Jr., and all derivatives and variations in the spelling of said name, except my lowercase name, Robert Lee Thomas Jr., copyrighted. Hereafter, jointly and severally, Robert Lee Thomas Jr., all caps, and the living, breathing man, known by the distinctive appellation of, notice in my lowercase, Robert Lee Thomas Jr., copyright, hereinafter, creditor. Okay, and so then, in consideration for creditor, A, consulting the source, origin, substance, and being, i.e., basis of pre-existing claim, from which the existence of the all capital letter Robert Lee Thomas Jr. is derived, and the basis upon which the all capital letter Robert Lee Thomas Jr. functions as a transmitting utility, i.e., serves as a conduit, granting creditor capacity for interacting, contracting, and exchanging goods and services in commerce with other artificial juristic persons. B, constituting the source of, okay, all capital, Robert Lee Thomas Jr.'s assets via the sentient existence, exercise of faculties, and labor of creditor, which provide valuable consideration sufficient for supporting any contract whatsoever that the all capital letter Robert Lee Thomas Jr. may execute, and concerning which all capital Robert Lee Thomas Jr. may be regarded as bound, and C, providing the security for payment of all sums now due and owing, and as might become due and owing by all capital letter Robert Lee Thomas Jr. and then all caps again Robert Lee Thomas Jr. for valuable consideration, does hereby and herewith agree and convey, convent. Well, then I'm sorry, that word's covenant. So does hereby and herewith agree and covenant that all capital letter Robert Lee Thomas Jr. shall undertake the obligation of I, functioning and serving as a transmitting utility for the benefit of creditor, granting creditor ability for engaging in commerce with other juristic persons, and II, indemnifying, defending, and holding creditor harmless from and against any and all liability, claims, demands, orders, summonses, warrants, judgments, damages, costs, loss, liens, levies, depositions, lawsuits, legal actions, penalties, fines, interests, and expenses, losses, whatsoever, both absolute and contingent, due and as might become due, now existing and hereafter arising, howsoever evidenced, suffered, incurred by, and imposed upon the all capital letter Robert Lee Thomas Jr., and for whatever reason, purpose, and cause whatsoever, all cap Robert Lee Thomas Jr., for valuable consideration, does also hereby and herewith expressly acknowledge, consent, and agree that creditor cannot and must not, under any circumstances, nor in any manner whatsoever, be deemed an accommodation party, nor surety for the all cap Robert Lee Thomas Jr. Okay, now we have some definitions of word. So, words defined. Glossary of terms. As used in this private agreement, the following words and terms express the meaning set forth as follows, non-abstinent. Appellation. In this private agreement, the term appellation means a general term that introduces the specifics of a particular term, which may be used in addressing, greeting, calling out for, and making appeals of a particular living, breathing man. Conduit. In this private agreement, the term conduit signifies a means of transmitting and distributing energy and the effects produce of labor, such as goods and services, via the name, all capital letter Robert Lee Thomas Jr., also known by, and any and all derivatives and variations in the spelling of said name, full caps Robert Lee Thomas Jr., except the lowercase Robert Lee Thomas Jr., copyright. Creditor. In this private agreement, the term creditor means the lowercase Robert Lee Thomas Jr., copyright. Full all caps Robert Lee Thomas Jr. In this private agreement, the term all caps Robert Lee Thomas Jr. means Robert Lee Thomas Jr., also known by any and all derivatives and variations in the spelling of said name, except the lowercase Robert Lee Thomas Jr., copyright. Okay, derivative. In this private agreement, the word derivative means coming from another, taken from something proceeding secondary, that which has not the origin in itself, but obtains existence from something foregoing, and of a more primal and fundamental nature, anything derived from another. Ens ligus. In this private agreement, the term ens ligus means a creature of law, an artificial being, as contrast with a natural person, such as a corporation, considered as deriving its existence entirely from the law. All capital Robert Lee Thomas Jr. In this private agreement, the term Robert Lee Thomas Jr. all caps means Robert Lee Thomas Jr., all caps, and any and all derivatives and variations in the spelling of said name except the lowercase Robert Lee Thomas Jr. copyrighted. Autograph common law copyright 1989 through 3000 by Robert Lee Thomas, lowercase, copyright. So hopefully I can live that long. But anyway, juridic person. In this private agreement, the term juridic person means an abstract legal entity in legis, such as a corporation created by construct of law and considered possessing certain legal rights and duties of a man, an imaginary entity, such as the full, all caps, Robert Lee Thomas Jr., i.e. Robert Lee Thomas Jr., all caps again, which on the basis of legal reasoning is legally treated as a man for the purpose of conducting commercial activity for the benefit of a biological living being, such as creditor. Okay. From the earliest times, the law has enforced rights and exacted liabilities by utilizing a corporate concept, by recognizing, that is, juridic persons other than mans. The theories by which this mode of legal operation has developed has been justified, qualified, and defined, are the subject matter of a very serious libry, L-I-B-R-A-R-Y. The historic roots of a particular society, economic pressures, philosophic notions, all have had their share in the law's response to the ways of men in carrying on their affairs through what is now the familiar device of the corporation. Attribution of legal rights and duties to a juridic person other than man is necessarily a metaphorical process, and none the worse for it, no doubt. Metaphors in law are to be narrowly watched, and that's Cardoza, J. in Berkeley, verse 3rd Avenue RCO 244 NY 8494. And then, but all instruments of thought should be narrowly watched, lest they be abused and fail in their service to reason. See U.S. versus Scophony, SCOPHONY, Corp of America, 333 U.S. 795, SCT 855, 1948 U.S. Okay. Living, breathing man. In this private agreement, the term living, breathing man means the creditor, lowercase, Robert Lee Thomas Jr., a sentient living being, and distinguished from an artificial legal construct, ins legis, i.e. a juridic person, created by construct of law. Non-abstinent. In this private agreement, the term non-abstinent means words anciently used in public and private instruments with the intent of precluding in advance any interpretation other than certain declared object purpose. Okay, there, and this is a case law here, there every man is independent of laws except those prescribed by nature. He is not bound by any institutions formed by his fellow men without his consent. And that's Cruden versus Neale, N-E-A-L-E, second NC 338, 1796, second SE 70. Okay. Private agreement. In this private agreement, the term private agreement means the written express private agreement, RLT 240689 PA, dated 24th date of the 6th month in the year of our Lord, 1989, between creditor and, all caps, Robert Lee Thomas Jr., together with all modifications of and substitutions for said private agreement. Sentient living being. In this private agreement, the term sentient living being means the creditor, i.e. lowercase Robert Lee Thomas Jr., copyright, a living, breathing man, as distinguished from an abstract legal construct such as an artificial entity, juristic person, corporation, partnership, association, and the like. Signature. See UCC 3401B. What is considered signature? Signed. See UCC 120139. What is considered signed? Transmitting utility. In this private agreement, the term transmitting utility means a conduit, e.g., the all caps Robert Lee Thomas Jr., i.e., all caps Robert Lee Thomas Jr. UCC. In this private agreement, the term UCC means Uniform Commercial Code. This is a continuing private agreement and perpetuates in effect until the death, i.e., the permanent cessation of all vital functions and faculties of creditor. This private agreement, RLT 240689-PA, is dated the 24th day of the 6th month in the year of our Lord, 1989. Then all caps, Robert Lee Thomas Jr., full colon, Robert Lee Thomas Jr., both of those are in all caps. And then we have it again, Robert Lee Thomas Jr., then again, all caps, Robert Lee Thomas Jr., signature. Okay, creditor accepts, all caps, Robert Lee Thomas Jr.'s signature in accordance with UCC 120139 and 3401B. And then there's a place where you sign it. Now, under the line for signature on this particular document, we have the lowercase name, Robert Lee Thomas Jr., and then the copyright. Creditor signature, all rights reserved, UCC 1308 without prejudice, and we have a place for a notary on this document as well, signed in the presence of notary name, and then you get your notary seal on it. And so now these two documents, you'll prepare them so that they can be put into the public if you need to use them in a court situation. And so that way they're noticed in the public by the notary, and that has more authority than a judge doing. And so we'll wrap. You have any questions about these documents, and we'll wrap this one up on those two.
All right. Well, that was a lot of information to soak in. So we'll finish this one up so you can finish up this how to become a natural person and reserve our rights.
All right. So we'll do another document here. We'll go ahead and cut this one, and then we'll make another one.
All right. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, and I hope you're keeping up with this. This is step by step. He's speaking it, writing it all out for you. So we're gone for now, but not forever. Toodles.